Hello, everybody. Hopefully we can hear everything now. Gosh, what a pain. I just gave a 40-minute talk on this, on weight loss in pets and how you can basically have a weight loss plan for your pet, and nothing showed. So it was all kind of a bit bizarre. So apologies if you tuned in before, but we're back. And as I just said, today's show is going to be all on how you can perform a weight loss program for your animals. Now, I'm going to be talking and I'm going to cover how much food you need to feed, how to look at a bag and work out, a bag of kibble, and how you can work out how much of that, is appropriate, how you know that your dog or your cat is actually overweight, because that can actually be a problem in itself. It's actually just working out what the issue is and what you need to avoid so that you can get a really good response and how long it takes. So if you're keen, carry on listening. I ask any questions, put those in the little box below. I'll get to those at the end, and hopefully we can get some of these pets on a timeline to be trim. If you haven't met me before, I'm Dr. Leigh from Your Vet Online, and I've been a vet for over 20 years. And here at Your Vet Online, we're a veterinary telemedicine company providing you with 24-hour, 7-day-a-week vet consults for any animal that you have. So it doesn't matter whether you've got cats, dogs, horses, or pocket pets, or farm animals, we can help you. And on this channel, whether you're watching here on Facebook or whether you're actually on YouTube, we just give you heaps and heaps of tips on animal health. So make sure you subscribe. If you're on YouTube, hit that little bell so you get notifications. And every week we go through a tutorial helping you to on a subject that might be of interest. So always keep an eye out, have a look to see when and what we're talking about, because it may just be of interest to you. Righty ho. Why is obesity bad? Now, this, like us, when we have animals that are way, and it can actually solve those problems. So yeah, we're thinking about things like arthritis, musculoskeletal problems. If you're holding a little bit of extra weight, that can make it really, really hard on your pet's limbs and make them pretty sore. It can also predispose them to lots of other conditions. So if we've got things like you've got a brachycephalic breed, perhaps those squishy nosed dogs, when those dogs are a little bit more obese and are holding a bit more weight, it can make it really hard for them to breathe because everything kind of closes up even more. And of course, there's heat stress. So, whoops, we've got showing the wrong one here. That's not what we wanted to show, but anyways. All right, so how do we actually begin this weight loss program? Now, it's super important that you actually get a veterinary check first. And I'm not saying that because I'm promoting, going to the vet or anything. The thing is that a lot of animals actually have medical conditions that can make them put on weight. And if they have something that, like such as Cushing's disease, maybe hypothyroidism, anything like that that makes them put on weight, then it can be really, really disconcerting if you're putting all this effort in and you're not getting any response. So it's always best just to get that vet check happen right at the very beginning. You can get a baseline weight and you can work out where your pet sits, how much they need to lose, all the rest of it. And just make sure that there's nothing else contributing to their weight gain. Because, yes, as I said, we might be beating ourselves against a brick wall if that's the case. So, aside from that, we also need to assess our pet's weight right at the very beginning. And this is so we can actually get a guide of how much they need to lose and whether they actually need to lose any in the first instance. Now, I've got some videos that I have already done in the past, which I'll put links to in the comments after this, but they actually go through how you can check your pet to see whether they are overweight. One of the most important things, though, is that even though we love a scale weight doesn't mean very much. And what we actually prefer to do is to look at what their body condition score is. And that gives us a better idea, and it takes into consideration different density of bone and all that sort of stuff, because, you know, not all of us have the same, like humans, we don't all have the same bone density. So sometimes you're going to have a dog or a cat that's really heavy boned but quite light in like they're not holding much weight, but you actually think someone might say, oh, your cat should never be, 10 kgs. Well, I'm sorry, sometimes that's not the case. You can have perfectly healthy 10 kg cats who are the perfect weight, but it's just that they're very, very dense bones. So that's why we always talk about body condition score. Again, I have got some notes that I'll put in the comments after. You can download your body condition score system for your cat and your dog so that you can assess your pets at home and make sure that you understand how much they need to lose, or in some cases, they might even need to gain weight. The other thing that I always say to people is we're looking at how to assess body condition score, and that's related to your hand. And you're probably thinking, what is she talking about? But if you hold your hand up, you feel your knuckles, and yes, you can feel them, and they feel just like knuckles. Now, if you run your hand over your pet's rib cage, you should be able to feel them just as much as you can feel your knuckles. And if you can't feel them, if there's a little bit of a layer of blubber over the top, then yes, you are going to need to help your cat or your dog lose some weight. Now, the other thing that you can do is look from above down and check for that hourglass shape. That's really important as well. We want to see their rib cage be the widest part. It's narrowed down into their waist, and then their hindquarters are wider again. But you should always see a nice, definite distinction between each area. And the other way to check is to look from the side view and see whether they've got that from the ribs, they tuck up to their hindquarters. Now, cats are a little bit different sometimes, because remember, they've got that primordial pouch, and that's that layer of fat that's just under their belly there, and that's actually a function. It actually has some protective functions for that were obviously a genetic advancement back in the day, where it protects them from when they're getting in cat fights, it protects their whole internal organs, that sort of thing. But it can be really confusing, because with cats with that's normal. So you need to do the knuckle test and the looking from above to make sure they've got a nice hourglass shape. And that's how we check for cats with their weight, if they've got one of those large primordial pouches. Okay, how much should we be feeding? Let's get right to it. Now, weight loss, it really, okay, from the beginning, it depends on how much your pet needs to lose. But generally speaking, we look at it as a 3 to 5% of their body weight over a period of a month. So in most cases, we don't want them to be losing a lot more than 500 grams per month. And that's a reasonable amount because we don't want to starve our pets. We want to make sure that it's gradual and that they've satisfied, they're not begging, and they're quite happy with what we're doing. So if you push it too far, you're going to get some grumpy animals on your hands, and no one wants that. So we're looking at about 500 grams per month. Now, the next part of working out how much to feed is actually some kind of annoying but kind of important calculations. So I'll pop this little calculation up. Now, this is what we call resting energy requirement. Now, this is what an animal needs at rest, okay? So you work BW, means their body weight, you times it by the power of 0.75 times 70. And that is how many calories your animal needs resting. Now, of course, no person, no animal does nothing all day. So they do move around and carry on. So you do need to times that by about 1.2 for an animal that's just got normal sort of activities. We're not talking reproduction. We're not talking feeding puppies or kittens. We're not talking an animal that is out on the farm running 10 Ks a day here. We're talking most of our pets that don't do too much, who are basically hanging around the house and go for a couple of walks a day if they're a dog, or maybe not doing anything if they're a cat, just sleeping. So you need to times it by about 1.2. Okay, so that gives us how many calories they actually need. But it actually can be quite tricky to, well, once you've worked that out, it can be, you do need to do a few other things. And that's why I'm sitting in the kitchen today, because I want to show you what you need to do as far as working out how much to feed. So number one, before you start any of this, you actually need to keep a diary of how much you're feeding, or, well, not how much, yes, how much, but everything that goes into your pet's mouth, you need to keep record that for a couple, 2 to 3 days. That means if you give your dog a little bit of toast in the morning, I want to know how much toast you're giving them. If you're giving them a cup of biscuits, you need to work out how much is in that cup. You need to work, if you're giving 3 carrots as a treat, we write that down. So keep a diary of absolutely everything that you're giving your pet on that day. Okay, now this is where it gets fun. So we've got our vessel, okay, and this has got our, if you're feeding kibble, this is what's got your kibble in it. Now, where I see the vast majority of people making crucial mistakes is that they are not, they actually don't know how much kibble is in that container. So we know that there are a lot of, I was going to show you, where is this gone? I've lost. There is my picture. We know that a lot of bags describe what they're feeding just like this. And so basically, I was going to put show that. And that is basically showing us that like a cat needs 52 grams and if it's a 3 kg cat. Now, the problems begin, I've tried to shimmy this a little bit and it's gone too far. The problems actually begin when we actually don't know how much, or it might say give 1 cup, and then we end up giving far too much. So what you need to do is you actually need to put all the biscuits into a container and get the container that you are choosing to use every day to feed your biscuits. And you need to get yourself a little weigh scale, and you need to work out how much this container weighs. Now, you can put so weigh the container. Now, the long, drawn-out effort way is to actually, do the calculation. Luckily, this particular scale, we can set it to 0. And then when we fill up our container, we can work out when we fill it all the way to the top. Oops, I'm spilling quite a few of these. Once we fill it all the way to the top, pretend that's at the top, we can then see how much those biscuits weigh. So we know that let's say on the bag of food, the food says give 1 cup, which in brackets it might say 100 grams daily. So if our vessel doesn't hold 100 grams, but it holds 150, and you're giving 1 cup, you can now see how you might be having problems with weight gain with your pets. So that is the number one thing that you need to do to make sure that you're actually feeding the appropriate amount. Now, when it comes to feeding home-cooked meals or feeding raw or anything like that, it gets so much harder. I'm not a fan of using those necessarily for a weight loss diet, not because they're bad or anything, but just because it gets really tricky. You have to go and weigh all the ingredients. You have to put them in something like MyFitnessPal so that you can work out what the calorie content is, and you actually have to do a whole lot more work. So if that's something you want to do, by all means, go and do it. It's just, if you purchase a kibble, then on the back of the bag, there's going to be the calories per kg or per 100 grams. And so it's going to be a lot easier for you to work out how much you actually need to give your pet. So I'm all for easiness. I don't know about you, but I have no time to start mucking around and trying to work all this stuff out for myself, let alone my cats and dogs. So that's how much we should feed. And I guess that sort of brings me on to my next little slide here, which is, and we're talking about, there are quite a few veterinary weight loss diets, and these are specially formulated for cats and dogs to help them lose weight. And why we like these is that we know they do what they say they do if fed appropriately. We know that if they say they've got 500 calories per 100 grams, there's 500 calories per 100 grams because they've been tested. We also have the choice to play around a little bit with the ingredients. So some of these will have high protein, low carbohydrate. So that might be great for our cats that might be diabetic or pre-diabetic, who we're trying to stop them needing insulin. So high protein, low carb. There's some that are really high fiber content, which helps to make some pets feel very full and satisfied. Protein can also do that too, so it's always good. And also there's some diets out there now, which is pretty cool, that actually change and help speed up metabolism of the body so that they actually burn through those calories a lot faster. Now, remember, it's calories in rather than anything else. So that's really important. So if they can burn a few more, that's great. Also, just be really wary. Look at the calorie content on the bag. Sometimes some of these diets out there are really, really high in fat. And fat gives them a great coat, but it also isn't great for satisfaction. And so a lot of these just normal diets I'm talking about, it can cause a lot of issues there. So if you're having trouble with your pet gaining on certain brands of pet food, have a look at the calorie content on the back. Have a look at how much fat is in there compared to how much protein is in there. Just want to quickly touch on exercise too, because we all know if you don't use it, you lose it. But also we want to keep our animals moving. So even when they're an elderly fellow or they're a cat, movement definitely helps. But remember, it's always what goes in their mouth. What goes in their mouth has more prevalence when you're trying to do a weight loss program than upping the exercise. And we all know that some of the most difficult times to actually help your pets is actually when they've got injuries. So whether that might be a dachshund who's got IVDD, maybe your dog has hurt its cruciate and has just had TPLO surgery. So those are common cases where sometimes you just can't do the amount of exercise that you ever did before. So you really do need to cut back on the food. So, it's a weighing up game, but don't ever feel that your dog is going to be, or your cat is going to have, be disadvantaged if they've actually got an injury or something that precludes them from being able to exercise, because exercise isn't the be all and end all. It's more what goes in their mouth. Okay. This is a really common question I get, and it's usually related to either the puppy dog eyes or the cats at 4 a.m. in the morning when they've decided they're starving and they must come and feed me now or I'm going to just annoy you all early hours of the morning. I've had so many people talk about this, and yeah, it is frustrating. One of the big things I recommend is that if you've got an animal that is doing this, you've got to be a bit smart about things. Remember, if they beg and then you give them food, you've just reinforced that behavior. So be very wary about giving in to an animal that is begging, okay? Just ignore. They'll soon learn that, oh, okay, I'm not getting anything out of this. The other thing you can always do is actually turn it into play. I mean, not the 4 a.m. cat thing, but the dog that's sitting there wanting to beg while you're eating the sandwich, grab a tennis ball, throw it, give them a high five, make them roll over, do something like that. Doing those sorts of things can really help displace that begging behavior, so they learn that there's just no point because they're not going to get any food. Don't let the dogs sit at the base of your table when you're eating. Send them away, make them sit on a mat, tell them not to look. It's a lot of these behaviors is actually because we are reinforcing them. So you've got to make sure that you don't do that. A note about those automatic feeders. Absolutely great, but it's a lot of them kind of actually cause issues when we're starting to talk about things like begging and volume of food. I recommend those slow, self feeders that have got the collar, so that basically you can set them up to only be certain animals. So only feeds the animal that puts its head in the container, and only feed a certain portion. So if you've got that cat at 4 a.m. that wants to eat something, you might be able to get one of these slow feeders or, these automatic feeders that can give them a little bit of food at 4 a.m. And that takes them away, satisfies them, and away you go. Yay. on that note as well, a lot of animals are bored. They are just bored. Remember, cats are predatory. They love to hunt. And what are they doing nowadays, being inside? They have no hunting going on, no opportunity to hunt. So it's a great idea to work out how much food you're, feeding your cat or your dog in a day. Put that in a container, and within that container, you can feed them maybe 4 to 6 times during the day. So it's only that food that you've determined they need from that container, but you can sprinkle that around the house. Perhaps you might use some feeders like, a Kong or something like that. Put a food toy, hide the food in that. All their treats go in this as well. So don't forget, you always got to make sure that when you're working out how many calories you're feeding your animal, it includes treats, it includes any of the carrots you might feed or anything else. So you've got to put it all in there. But back to this, it's a great idea, especially with cats, is to give them change up where you're feeding them throughout the day and throughout the night, so that they get the impression and they start to think that they're on a hunt. Satisfy not only their nutritional needs by feeding them in different places, but also their mental health needs. And it can be really beneficial for them if you do that. The other thing is there's lots of slow feeders that you can buy where it actually, there's puzzles, and it can slow down the way your pet will eat, and it makes them enjoy their food, and rather than gulp it all down, well, should I say enjoy? That's very humanizing, isn't it? But not so much enjoy, but more they take their time to eat it, so they actually feel full as they go, and it's not that they just don't gulp it down and don't feel anything, and so keep thinking they need to eat and eat and eat. They're just like us in that respect. So yeah, definitely do that. Definitely also with this whole bedding thing, I think sometimes when we've got multi-person households, and there's always someone, isn't there? There's always that person that just slips them a little bit of something. And so the animals are smart. They understand when that happens. So it's always best to make sure you've got the container of food organized per day, so that if that person is going to be the one that slips them a little extra, it's not extra, it's part of their daily allowance. And that's really, really important. Okay, how long will it all take? Okay, like anything, sometimes we've just got to have a bit of patience. And of course, it all depends on how much weight your actual pet needs to lose, but for those that are extremely overweight, it may take, 8 to 12 months. For others, it might be 6 months. For those that just need to lose a little tiny weeny bit, hey, it might only be a month. My old girl, she used to be a little bit of a sniff of the oily rag type thing girl. She used to put on a little bit of weight occasionally, and it would only take 4 to 6 weeks for her to trim down a little bit. And with her, it was often me just making sure that I wasn't giving her as many treats, because she was a treat lover, and who's in charge of treats? Me. So it's me that's causing her to put on weight. So yeah, we need to make sure that we're not the ones causing their weight gain, because that's the bad part. So we do actually have a Pet Fit program. I will put the link in the comments later. Basically, we can help you with this. We can work out exactly how much your pet needs to lose. We can work out how much you're going to need to feed them, considering that we want a slow and gradual weight loss. We want them to have their weight loss over a period of, a time, so that we're not doing any more, losing more than basically 500 grams a month. And we can help you with all of that. So if that's something, you'd rather us give you a hand with, make sure you let us know, and we can definitely do that. Actually, I might be able to. Let's see if I can actually put this in there now. Oh, what am I doing here? Let's see if I can. See if I can. Oops, what's going on there? No, that didn't work. Let's see. Let's see if this will work. And yeah, if you need to, if you want some help with that, it might, we can help you. It's not a problem at all. All right. So if you've got any questions, let us know. We have a question here from Deb, who actually has a little Dachshund, and he's only little, and she wants to know, I'll see if I can put this in as well. Let's have a look here. He's only little, so let's see, did that come up? It's been a bit slow today. So Deb's question. So she's got a little Dachshund. I've had to cut a little bit of the story out so it will fit. But she's got a little Dachshund, and she only feeds him a small amount, but he doesn't seem to lose any weight. How much does a small dog need to eat per day? And this is a really good question, because I see it so often. You know, people are saying that they're only giving them a small amount and they're not losing weight. And that's why it's so important right at the very beginning to really be honest about what is going into your cat or dog's mouth every day. So take stock. How many treats are they getting? Have a look at the bag of treats. So, you know, you've got a bag of treats. Have a look at the back. See how many calories are in each treat. You know, sometimes it can be quite difficult to work it all out, hence why we offer the service for you. But the idea is not to necessarily restrict what you're giving, but it's to alter the amount. And yeah, it's all about calories in, calories out. And the only other thing I would say is just reiterate what I said at the very beginning. Always just get them checked out. Make sure that there's no health issues, because if there are, then you could be beating your head against a brick wall if you're not able to find, you know, work, if there's something else going on with them. Hopefully someone else might have some questions. I actually just thought I'd mention, let's see if I could, did that come up? Oh God, it's disappeared on me. Show and stream, where is it? Okay, it's not wanting to play today. Something is right. I wanted to show you. Oh, why is this not doing this? Okay. Maybe this is why. Let me see. Oh, dear me. Sometimes technology is no fun at all. Show and stream. Okay. Here we go. So just to reiterate what these essentials are. Oh, dear me. Having a moment here. Okay, now the reasons why we're doing all that is just so that it's mixing it up for your pet. Now, just as far as what to feed and everything as well, just to reiterate some of the points regarding vegetables and fruits, so something like zucchini is really good for cats. Cats seem to love it, and it's really good for their weight loss. So you can bulk out their food with a bit of, definitely with a bit of zucchini, mix it in with their, fresh meat, with their kibble, with their wet food. It's awesome. A lot of dogs will eat it too. Be a little bit careful with carrot because that's quite high in calorie. So you want to use things like celery and asparagus, broccoli, that sort of thing with your dogs, because it's far less calories. So you're not going to be propping them up with too much there. Anyway, guys, if you are wanting help with this, we definitely, we have this Pet Fit diet program, so join us for that if you need a hand, because as we said earlier, obesity kills. There have been studies that have shown that decreasing the weight and having your pets at a healthy weight can actually increase lifespan by 2 to 3 years. So it's pretty good motivation for us to do this and keep our pets on the slim side of things. So hopefully this helps. I'll pop a whole heap of links in down below so that you can have a look-see at them. Make sure you understand if there's questions about what I've talked about in this, please don't hesitate to ask them in the comments below, because that would be awesome, and then I can help you out. Otherwise, come and join our Pet Fit program. All right then, guys, I'm Dr. Leigh from Your Vet Online. Thanks so much for listening. Make sure you tune in next Tuesday for another tutorial. Hopefully the technology will be working at 10 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, not like today. All right then, we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.